Joined in studio this afternoon, Logan Lewis, Director of Marketing and Membership with the Independence Bowl Foundation. Thank you very much for sparing some time for us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks a lot.
We've had a lot of sports-oriented questions this week around town. It's been kind of an exciting week and also kind of a worrisome week at the same time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's an interesting flavor. You know, we always have questions. And I think the Independence Bowl Foundation itself, long-standing tradition in Shreveport of, sort of being at the center of people's attention for a lot of different reasons, negative and positive. And it's something we're not used to.
So this week, Tuesday, we have the Sports Complex vote. And whether you guys wanted to be involved or not, because you are the biggest, longest-running sporting event in town, outside of, I guess, you could maybe make the argument that, like, Centenary might be the only other longest running. But because you guys are always there and you're always consistent, whenever anything sports-wise comes up, you guys kind of get lumped in. So with the Sports Complex vote on Tuesday, that seemed to the flash in the pan. It's done in a lot of people's minds.
Right.
So then it almost felt like a lot of people turned to you guys and started looking at you. And did you guys feel like any pressure right away? When you saw the vote, what was your first gut reaction as far as you guys go?
The first reaction I had was, okay, we're next,
Yeah.
Look, we're used to it, and you kind of alluded to it there. I think the answer is a lot of times in the question whenever anything sports related comes up, and I gotta give a shout out to Scott Musket for a lot of the things he said echo how we feel. And you have to remember that when a bowl has been around for 42 years, it's the 11th oldest bowl in the country. To me, that constitutes sports support in the community. I think that you have to remember that you can't just say, well, it's been around for a long time and then Shreveport doesn't support it. The fact that it's been around for a long time shows that Shreveport supports sports. And if you go back over the last 10 months, there's only one event in this community that draws more people, and that's Mardi Gras. So, the Independence Bowl itself has been and continues to be a very successful venture for the city. And you look at the opportunity that it brings from a national standpoint. There is no other event or type of marketing opportunity for this community. Shreveport Bossier has got the opportunity to be on national television for many hours on end. A lot of people are very familiar these days with the advertising world as it relates to their own personal, whether it's their side hustle or if it's their actual business, because you can sort of take the power into your own hands and advertise through Facebook. So to represent that in those terms, Facebook employs an algorithm that, if you want 1,000 people to see an advertisement or a brand, you pay $10. Every 1,000 people, you pay $10. It's called cost per thousand. If you look at the number of people who watch that game and see that, just watch the game itself by itself, and you were to maybe translate that over to Facebook advertising and buy the same amount of exposure, it costs you $10 million.
Oh man, that's you have that laminated somewhere, don't you?
We use it a lot. Yeah. Obviously, in our title sponsor discussions, it's something that comes up quite a bit because that's just a $10, what they call CPM. It's not even close to what a spot rate on television would cost you. It's much more than that. So, we believe we have a great product, and when these things come up, Shreveport doesn't support sports, and it bothers me, but not because we get sort of dragged into the discussion. Maybe a little bit, just in terms of the fact that we're a 501c3 registered nonprofit. We're not a local public entity that needs an oversight committee. There's nobody at our office that's on the take. We're a nonprofit. We can't be like that. We get audited every single year, and so there's a lot of transparency that comes out of that. And I think that it's kind of unfair to ask that question. But what really bothers me most is that, I have 165 corporate sponsors that are local, and I've worked at Louisiana Tech. I've worked with other universities. There's no university in this part of the state that has that many sponsors. And so when people say that the community does not support sports or does not support the Independence Bowl, to me, it's not true, because our local businesses are putting forth their own hard-earned dollars to align their brand with the bowl. But at the same time, it's kind of disrespectful to them. because they're obviously putting forth their own money to support the bowl. And again, it's just simply not true. The community really does support this very much.
Now you brought it up, so I think it's fair. A lot of questions this week about title sponsorship. Everyone seems to think that the bowl hinges upon that title sponsorship. If it's not there, the Independence Bowl is gone. How true is that? And what does the title sponsor, or this year lack thereof, actually mean to the bowl moving forward?
Well, title sponsor is paramount for our bowl. We're a little bit different, in terms of the way our bowl is structured. We are still an independent organization. We're not owned by ESPN. ESPN is able to, to have bowl games without a title sponsor because they have the funds to do so. And so if they have one, it's nice, but they're really selling the television inventory. And so, the title sponsor for the Independence Bowl is paramount. I think the thing to remember is that, even in the last title sponsor that we had with Camping World, that deal wasn't even done until the end of August. And so we're still really in the same. This is actually the most important, critical time for most bowl title sponsorships. As a football season starts, brands begin to look at ways that they can activate at the end of the year, nationally. Again, sometimes it's hard to think outside the bubble of Shreveport Bossier, but we're not looking for there's not a business in Shreveport that's going to sponsor the Independence Bowl. There's maybe only one or two that can afford it, and it doesn't fit their goals. We're looking for a company that's national to get exposure nationally on ESPN. And also, it helps if they have some type of local tie. And so I think it's important for a lot of people to remember that as we go through this process, and again, in this very critical time of having conversations with brands, that everything that is said, either in local media or on digital media, if it's social media or whatever, it begins to paint a portrait of how our city looks on the outside, looking in from a brand that may be in Dallas, Atlanta, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and that reflects very heavily on our discussions. It comes up, I think that also there's a large group of people who are very positive about a lot of things, maybe afraid to speak out because they'll get shouted down. But we've had a great partnership with this title search committee, our title search firm called Trenches out of Atlanta. They have spent the better part of this year speaking to over 100 national brands. Some of those conversations have turned into very high-level discussions, and those discussions are still ongoing. Right now is a very critical time for us to get this thing locked up, and I think that it's important for everyone to just allow a little bit of patience and let the process play itself out. I believe fully that once it's all said and done, people are going to be very surprised and impressed.
We're talking to Logan Lewis, Director of Marketing and Membership with the Independence Bowl Foundation. We're having this conversation not just because it's college football season and we're getting excited for the Independence Bowl, but with the sports complex vote this week, that got voted down and the conversation started to come up about, is Shreveport a sports town? I think everybody by this point has heard Scott Musket from yesterday.
Yeah.
And his adamant support about Shreveport as a sports town. And I think everything that he said was right. And a lot of people have echoed exactly what he said. And you have just really pointed out over 160 local businesses in partnership with the Independence Bowl. There is support for it here. But at the same time, there's, and maybe it's that bubble that we've talked about the bubble in this space a lot. There's a Shreveport bubble. And it seems like people within that bubble.
Are we talking about the rain, or are we talking about?
No, not the Barksdale one. No, sorry. Yeah. So, whoa. Okay, hold on. No Barksdale bubble talk today. Okay. Maybe next week. But inside that Shreveport bubble, which is a different bubble, it seems like there's a group of people who only view Shreveport in their vision. And if you're doing something that's slightly outside of their vision, whether it's not the entire event, but something inside the event, they seem to have turned on it in a way. And I've seen a little bit of this, and you mentioned social media, so I think you've probably seen a little bit of this too. There's a lot of, I would say, maybe misinformation when it comes to the Independence Bowl.
Sure.
So as far as the funding of the bowl and what the bowl provides to the participating teams, give us a 30,000-foot view from the person who actually knows what's going on. Not misinformation. You know literally what's happening.
Sure.
How does that work?
Well, there are certain things that I'm not allowed to divulge based on, non-disclosure agreements that we all sign for different aspects of our of what the Independence Bowl does. But what I can say is that our total payout to the individual teams themselves is over $2 million. It is sometimes maybe a little bit difficult to understand the bigger picture concept. So to put it, I guess, in the simplest of terms, we are probably about middle of the pack in terms of payouts among all 40, 42, however many there are this year, bowl games. We are the smallest market by far. I mean, it's not even close.
What about the Bahamas?
Well, I say this. To clarify, we're the smallest market by far to have two Power 5 teams play against each other.
Okay,
it's
there
not
you go.
even
Sorry.
close. I mean,
I got excited about the
next
Bahamas Bowl for some
size
reason.
market, I believe, maybe like Memphis or somewhere along those lines. It's impressive that we are able to continue this game for 42 years, and a lot of it has to do with the local sponsorships. A lot of it has to do with ticket sales, and a lot of it has to do with title sponsor. There's a lot of things that go into it. And then in turnaround, we put on 24 events a year. We take part in other people's events, whether that's, the Crawl Fest, the Wheels in the Hills, the Barksdale Appreciations, and so I think all of those things sort of funnel into it. There's also, in addition to that, the local sponsors do give us a lot of support. We have a foundation of, half 1,000 people that would probably surprise you to see the list of the number of very well-respected business people who have an invested interest into this game and to see it continue. So, our contracts with the SEC and the ACC and ESPN, it's all one deal, are through 2019. So we have that for this year, the next year, and the year after. There's sometimes misconception about when the game is. We don't necessarily get to choose that. Sometimes, not this year, but sometimes we get the choice between this time, this day, this time, this day. We try to pick the one that's the best. This year we had one choice, and we really like it for a couple of reasons. In the last couple of years it's been on the 26th. This year is on the 27th, which gives us an extra day. And we are really trying to expand the reach of that out into markets like Longview and Tyler and Texarkana and Monroe and Alexandria to convince people to come in, stay the night, and go to the game, be home by dinner the next day. That's the entire pitch. There's the title sponsor is a component of it, of what it takes to put the game on. But I would say that I couldn't give you an exact ratio of how much it is, but it's less than half of what it takes to actually put the game on. There's a lot of components there, that we just kind of went through. So
now, okay, that is one of the questions that I wanted to work around because it's one of the big ones. There's a contingency of people who believe if there is no title sponsor this year, that somehow the game will be canceled.
Well, there's a lot of ways to be creative with title sponsor, presenting sponsor. I can tell you there's going to be one. I mean, I know this. There's going to be one. And I'm not confirming right now we have signed one. I'm just saying that.
That's a gut feeling.
That's a gut feeling for me. It really is. Based on and it's really based on the conversations that we've had with these national brands this summer. I mean, this has been the most exciting thing I've ever done, to actually talk about ways to activate in very unique and interesting ways a brand partnership that affects the schools, that affects the title sponsor, that affects the community here in Shreveport Bossier, and being able to check off a lot of boxes. I mean, it's really actually very exciting. It's not negative at all. I feel pressure. It kind of makes you want to go, yeah, well, it's going to always be there, I think, as far as criticism is concerned. And look, I think that in criticism, we've learned a lot of things, the neatest thing that I could say that I have this year is probably this concert, the block party. It's kind of like my little brainchild or my baby this year to bring the Toadies in.
Yeah, I want to get to that in just one second.
That was born out of criticism from our previous title sponsor. That idea we can do that. We can certainly do that. So.
We're talking to Logan Lewis, Director of Marketing and Membership with the Independence Bowl Foundation. I really want to spend some time. That's why I wanted to wait for a second on that one. But I just want to run down this list to make sure that you and I are on the same page and that everyone is on the same page right now. The Independence Bowl will happen this year.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. You
don't currently have a title sponsor, but your gut feeling says we are going to hear from one in 60 days or less.
Several weeks. In the next couple of weeks. I'm sure. I can't give you an exact timetable.
Right,
because negotiation, all that stuff takes time.
Just to make sure that we're squelching all of the internet stuff right now.
We're going to have a game, and it's going to be awesome.
We're going to have a game. It's going to be awesome, and there will be a title sponsor attached to it, and ESPN is still a part of this.
Absolutely, yeah. We have I think our agreement with them may have been up to 10 years, or it's a long-term deal. Pretty much every bowl game in the business, with a very few exceptions, all the conferences and their tie-ins are all going into negotiation in 2019. What that means, I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in 2019. We'll start to work through some of those things next year. It's going to be very interesting to see how it affects the landscape of college football.
So now that we got all that out of the way, we know that all of those questions are answered. The block party.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome because
I
love the Toadies. I love the whole idea behind this. So you said it was born out of criticism.
Sure.
Take us through start to finish how this project came to fruition.
Well, I'm a musician, right? And so I have been involved in live music for a long time. And when I was 15 years old, actually, to tell you the quick story is when I was 15, I signed a contract without telling my folks for 2 bands from California to come play in downtown Ruston. Got the space. Filed all my paperwork for the taxes. My friend had a construction business, or his dad had a construction business. So we got all the construction fencing, put it around Railroad Park, charged $5 a head. We made some money. We paid our taxes. I did that when I was 15. And so this has been something that I know how to do. I've done it with Louisiana Tech, or I've done it, on my own with other entities. So when the question came up, it was easy for us to answer. Oh, this is how you do it, and there's a certain way we can go about it. I look at some of the things that have happened, and the interest that people have in the Red River District through what Chase Boydom's doing down there with his Saturdays in the Square, and it just seemed like a natural fit. One of the things that we also, when we send out surveys every year to the fans, to the players, to the coaches, that we heard from them was that the hospitality, the bowl, all of the things that we did for the team was fantastic. They love it. They nickname us the Hospitality Bowl in these 2 conferences. But the one thing that they would be critical of is that when they walk around downtown, or they walk around, the city, or they do, go certain places, they didn't feel like the city itself was embracing the game, and that there was something that, was kind of the focal point, the center of entertainment outside of, kind of what was just always there. And so, the block party itself, we already do, and we have been doing a parade and pep rally at the boardwalk in Bossier at 6 this year and the night before the game. And so the idea was to sort of start 2 simultaneous events. One being the parade and the pep rally, very family oriented. The bands will have a sort of a battle of the bands. At the same time, there's a pub crawl that starts in downtown Shreveport. We're gonna try to have some prizes available for people who show up early. And then once the bands are finished, they come over the bridge into the Red River District, and they're gonna have another pep rally, and they're gonna play facing each other right there under the bridge. And then, after that's complete, then the Toadies are going to be playing a free concert. The entire thing is free. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. All of that is free. The Toadies certainly burst on the scene in the 1994 with a classic record that I'm sure you've been using as bumper music for your entire career. And it's one of those, those records that will never die, and we love it. So they're based out of Dallas, and I've always been a huge fan. Instantly, as soon as we announced that yesterday, I had friends that text me and say, this is cool. Like, I'm glad y'all did. This is really cool. And we're fully aware that people are going to come down to the concert and maybe not go to the game. That's fine. I think that we have a duty to do for the fans that are traveling here, to show them a good time, to give people, like I said, from Longview, Tyler, Alexandria, Monroe, a reason to come and spend the night here for a night. Go to the game the next day. Another thing that's really cool too, I want to throw this one in because it kind of got lost in the shuffle amongst a lot of the arena debate, was that we did announce another promotion with a local company, Gateway Tire, who is sponsoring a truck giveaway. So if you buy a ticket to the game this year, it automatically enters you in. That's a chance to win a free Ford F-150 at the game.
So
Free.
you guys are doing a free concert,
Yeah.
and giving away a free truck.
And giving away a free truck. And we have free band entertainment There's a free in relative terms pub crawl. You can participate. There'll be prizes along with that.
You can walk along the pub crawl for free all you want.
Yeah, and you know, this truck giveaway is gonna be so cool. I think we official rules are coming out soon, but it's gonna be something like, you know, start the key. If you have the key that starts it, you win it. But we're gonna choose several people to participate based on seat location. So every sponsor ticket, every visitor ticket, every ticket in that stadium is a legitimate equal chance to win that vehicle. You know, the tickets are as low as like $30. If you bring 20 or more people, it's only $15 a ticket. So it's not like it's not a good deal. We have great value built into that, and then we're throwing the word free in all around it. You know, it's free everywhere, free entertainment for the family. You know, both downtown in Shreveport, downtown in Bossier, and then out at the stadium the day of the game.
I'm excited for the Independence Bowl this year. I know there were a lot of questions this week on the heels of the sports complex, so I'm glad that you were able to come in and answer those and talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing. Hopefully we can talk a couple more times before the game gets here.
Absolutely. You can tell we're fired up. We're very excited about what we got going on this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Logan Lewis, Director of Marketing and Membership with the Independence Bowl Foundation, thank you very much for coming in today.